is trumped only by Christmas on the number of films inspired by the holiday. And this is mostly due to the Hallmark Channel releasing what feels like 100 new movies every year based on a meet-cute under mistletoe. On this episode of Mytheries, we're going to look at the beliefs, myths, and legends that have shaped our favorite holiday, Halloween, and how some of our favorite films have used these legends to create their own awesome stories. So turn off the lights, grab your pumpkin pail of candy, and let's share some spooky tales. Please subscribe to our channel right now, like this video, and click on the bell so you can be notified each time a new video goes up. Now, back to the show. Halloween and what we know of it and experience of it every October 31st is actually taken from a long history of traditions that have been transformed over the centuries. Culture and religion have taken them and changed them in ways that make them not only more palatable, but also commandeer them to use as ways of spreading their own beliefs. It's nothing new when it comes to religion, but when you look back on the origins of the holiday and how many of us view it through the lens of someone who loves monsters and scary stories, it's surprising to find a checklist of how a pumpkin is like a Christian and not be weirded out a little bit. But this is how the version of Halloween we know the best came to be what it is. Originally a Celtic-based celebration and observance, Halloween had a far more serious and bloody way of celebrating. Over the centuries, the rites and traditions changed to the seemingly harmless and mischievous ways we celebrate today. But if you peer back into the past, the little ghouls and goblins you see on Halloween night may cause more fright than fun when you realize how trick-or-treating started. These traditions, both old and new, have found a way to be referenced in pop culture and those oh-so-wonderful horror movies that delved into the Halloween spirit. And I thought with the help of these scare-with-flair films, it would be the perfect way to talk about the myths and legends of Halloween and how it became the candy and nightmare-fueled holiday we all know and love. Halloween's 1978 version, the classic film that has forever been connected to the holiday it takes its name from, of course, has launched a gazillion costumes based on its titular character, Michael Myers. While the mystery of Michael Myers and why he became the monster we all know wasn't truly touched upon in the first two films, it was in the novelization. Yes, Halloween and Halloween 2 had paperback tie-ins based on the films. Both of these fetch a pretty penny on eBay now, but I digress. The novelization, written by Richard Curtis, shows a historical tie between the Myers family and ancient Ireland. The story follows a troubled 15-year-old boy named Inda who loves the beautiful princess Deirdre. When he is mocked and ridiculed for his advances, he murders Deirdre and her betrothed during a celebration on Halloween. For his crimes, Inda is killed by his fellow villagers and cursed to roam the earth forever and eternally recreating the terrifying act he committed the first Halloween. As the book goes on and we flash forward to the young Michael the night before he murders his sister, we discover that Inda's curse plagued Michael's family for generations and now has come to Michael with the voice of Inda whispering in their heads. This cursed and evil spirit of Samhain possesses him completely on Halloween and urges him to go forth to kill. It explains his choice of victim in his lovely sister, which hints at a slightly incestuous tendency already there within Michael. After he sees her spend an evening with her boyfriend, another man, he takes his revenge. It's a nice way to explain why being a couple in romance mode isn't always the smartest move in a Halloween film. Of course, the feature film wouldn't touch upon any of these aspects of the story from the book, and I as a fan could go either way with that decision. I truly love the he is just evil idea of how and why Michael Myers is, but the thought of him being cursed from back in the early days of Samhain with an evil that taints his bloodline is a nice touch. The Halloween franchise never lost that connection with the Celtic myth. We'll get to Halloween 3 in a moment, don't despair. But when Michael Myers returned in Halloween 4, it started what became known as the Thorn Trilogy. This brings into the mix druids and the Curse of Thorn, a runic symbol that shows up throughout the films. This touches back slightly to the curse that's the basis for Michael's killing in the novel. Here, though, the curse is something given to a child from each ancient tribe, forcing them to kill their family on Samhain. The ruined stone design used in the film and the name come from an ancient ruin using the name Thurs. It means giant, and when you go through the translations of writing that reference it, you start to see a theme. Causes anguish to women, misfortune to men, torture of women, an evil thing for any to touch. The film series, when it returned with H2O, decided to veer away from this with H2O, and with the 2018 film entry, appears to have canceled away any of the sequels from the original series of films. But let's go back to the red-headed stepchild of Halloween, Halloween 3, The Season of the Witch. This entry in the franchise was from a time when John Carpenter looked to have a Halloween be sort of an anthology film series, with each entry telling a different story based around the holiday. Hence the absence of Michael Myers and instead the awesome mighty that is Tom effing Atkins. But I digress. Season of the Witch goes straight to Celtic and pagan lore for its story of Silver Shamrock's killer masks. The wonderfully wicked Conall Cochrane plans on sacrificing all the children, much like the old lore speaks of. Cochrane has brought pieces of Stonehenge, a place he states was a location of sacrifice, and now, much like the times of old, he's going to recreate the rituals of the past. He goes so far as to explain it all to Dr. Chalice in detail, referencing the history of Samhain. I do love a good joke, and this is the best ever, a joke on the children. It was the start of the year in our old Celtic lands, and we'd be waiting in our houses of wattles and clay. The barriers would be down, you see, between the real and the unreal, and the dead might be looking in to set up by our fires. Halloween, the festival of Samhain. The last great one took place 3,000 years ago when the hills ran with the blood of animals and children. It was part of our world, our craft. To us, it was a way of controlling our environment. It's not so different now. It's time again. In the end, we don't decide these things, you know. The planets do. They're in alignment, and it's time again. The world's going to change tonight, Doctor. I'm glad you'll be able to watch it. And happy Halloween. This plot is one of the reasons I and many others love Season of the Witch, because it is absolutely evil and throws the rules out the window, but also it pays homage to the darker history and roots of the holiday. One of the new classics in the realm of Halloween-based movies is Trick or Treat. This fantastic anthology film takes the spirit of Halloween and gives him a starring role. Sam, or Sam Hain, a take on the way Samhain is spelled and sometimes pronounced, is the embodiment of Halloween, a child-sized entity with a pumpkin-like face beneath his sackcloth mask. His weapon of choice is a broken, jagged pumpkin lollipop. Sam enforces the rules of Halloween, and while many face his wrath, those that follow the rules are safe. For now. Trick or Treat speaks to two standout stories when it comes to the holiday. The first is the story of the jack-o'-lantern. In some folklore, the pumpkins are said to ward off evil spirits, hence putting them on your porch or in your window on Halloween. There's also the story of Jack himself, who many years ago made a deal with the devil. When he died, Jack was unable to enter heaven or hell because the devil refused to allow him entry. So Jack, trapped in the dark to wander for all eternity, carved a turnip into a lantern and placed a lone piece of coal inside to light his path as he wandered forever. Pumpkins play a big part in the film. The other, and sadly far more based in reality story, is that of poisoned candy given to children for trick-or-treating. We see this happen with a healthy dose of gross when Charlie makes the mistake of eating some candy offered by the school principal and secretly serial killer Mr. Wilkins. In truth, it was another bespectacled man who actually did poison the candy of children. These kids happened to be his own, and his name was Ronald Clark O'Brien. O'Brien would be dubbed the Candyman during his trial and media attention. He would actually use cyanide and would sneak it into a pixie stick that was in his son Timothy's candy. His son died an hour after ingesting the substance. The reason for the murder was most likely due to money issues, but O'Brien wouldn't have to worry about money for very long. He was sentenced to lethal injection, and his sentence was carried out on October 31st, 8 years after his crime. There had already been urban legends about poison candy and candy with razor blades hidden within, but this well-known case where it really happened, with a father killing his own child no less, struck a nerve that's been chilled ever since. So there you have it, ghouls and boils, some of the real and unreal gnarled roots of the Halloween tree. These pumpkin seeds grew some scary harvests of horror and continue to bear fruit to this day. Of course, I didn't touch upon all the films who borrow a sharp plot point or two from the history of Halloween. There's The Crow, of course, which features Devil's Night as part of Eric Draven's sad, gothic rock and roll fable, or another rock and roller in the form of Sammy Kerr, who comes back from the dead thanks to a record played backwards in the work of the devil. But I think this list of the Lord will keep you up late enough, so curl up on your couch and get comfy in the glow of your TV while unwrapping that first delicious piece of treats. But maybe save a piece or two for Sam, just in case.